Hey guys, tonight we step into a place where silence isn't peaceful, it's watching. You'll run your fingers over ancient bindings too warm to be paper. Breathe in the stale breath of books that remember being read by the dead. And take a seat you may never rise from. You're visiting a library, but not one you'll find on any public record. A library with no closing hour, because it was never meant to open in the first place. And if you think you're making it to daylight, think again. So, before you get really uncomfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you're genuinely brave enough to finish this video. And hey, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. If it's past midnight, I hope your doors are locked. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It begins with a drizzle, grey, whispering, forgettable, the kind that soaks your jacket without you noticing until it's too late to turn back. You're walking past the library on Millstone Street, just another errand on a cold Thursday evening, when you spot it. That light, a thin, buttery beam through the high stained glass window. The library's supposed to close at 6, and it's nearly 7, but there it is. Warm light, fluttering shadows. You hesitate. You remember how the place looked shuttered all last summer, and when it did reopen, no one really announced it. No flyers, no social posts, just that rusty old sandwich board sign outside. Open, quiet required. You step in with a wet squeak of your shoes against the marble floor. The main room smells like rain-soaked newspapers and wood polish, the kind that seeps into your coat and stays there for hours. It's quiet, not peaceful quiet, hollow quiet. Like all the sound was drained out with a straw. The librarian's desk is unmanned, but an old brass bell sits on the edge. You don't ring it. The place looks just how you remember. Carpeted rows, spiral staircases, giant oil portraits of scholars long dead. But something is wrong. It takes you a minute to notice. It's not the books or the furniture, it's the shadows. They're not where they should be. One shelf has a second shadow, slightly off from the real one. A potted fern on the second floor has no shadow at all. You turn to leave. Maybe come back tomorrow when someone's actually working. But you hear it, a rustle, soft, one aisle over, like pages turning. You freeze, heartbeat jumping. Could be someone else, or an open window. You call out a quiet, hello. No answer. You look back toward the front. The heavy oak doors are shut now. You didn't hear them close. You didn't close them. You walk the main aisle, past the poetry section, into local history. You see the sign, Archives, pointing down a short hallway. You pause just before the turn. Your eyes are drawn to a dark door near the floor's end. Unmarked, plain wood, but the air around it feels heavier. You swear you hear a slow breath being drawn behind it. It's locked. You try the handle gently, but it doesn't move. Good. You tell yourself you don't want it to open, but your hand stays on the knob a moment longer than it should. You glance back toward the entrance. Still no one. Still no sound. You head upstairs instead. The floorboards creak too loudly for how softly you tread. The portraits watch. Literally, you think one of them was facing left when you first came in. At the far end of the upper gallery is a spiral staircase. Old iron, worn smooth by decades of steps. You glance up. It spirals into shadow. A sign hangs from the bottom railing. Upper floors closed after dark. It's dark now, isn't it? You descend instead, back to the front desk. As you pass, you glance toward the strange door again. It's ajar, just barely, maybe a few centimeters. You didn't hear it unlock. You didn't hear it open. but the smell from behind it hits you. Dusty leather, burnt paper, and something that might once have been a person. You back away. You leave. You meant to come in for a history book, maybe return that overdue copy of the inverted atlas, but now you're fumbling with the door handles, pushing them too hard, slamming into them with a sudden breathless panic because they don't budge until they do. Cold night air slaps your face like a warning. You stumble outside. You don't remember breathing on the way home. You tell yourself it was just a weird moment, a tired mind and old air ducts. You don't tell anyone, but you don't sleep well. And the next night, you come back. Why? You don't know. Curiosity is part of it, but more than that, something wants you there. You feel it like a hook tugging behind your sternum. You try to go home from work the usual way, but your feet betray you, your mind blanks, and suddenly, there it is again. The library, lit, waiting. You step in. No bell this time, no hesitation. And when you pass the front desk, the strange door is wide open. There's a hallway beyond it. You're sure it wasn't there yesterday. And at the end of the hallway, tucked in a recess behind a curtain of cobwebs and fluorescent flicker, stands something you absolutely do not remember from before. An elevator. Old, brass-caged, humming softly like it knows you're coming. The buttons are covered in yellowed plastic. Basement, ground, second. But now, there's a new one. One you don't remember pressing or seeing. B1. You should leave. You don't. You press it. The doors sigh shut behind you, and you begin to descend. The elevator descends too smoothly for how old it looks. No jerks, no whines, just a soft hum, as though the machine is pleased to be used again. The air smells like forgotten breath, stale, sweet, and edged with iron. You tap your fingers nervously against the railing. There's no elevator music, just that steady hum and the faint ticking of something hidden deep in the walls. It stops with a soft ding that doesn't echo. You don't step out right away. Beyond the doors is dimness, not quite dark, not quite light. The air feels muffled, as if someone threw a thick velvet blanket over the entire floor. You lean forward. Carpet, old and green. Mahogany shelves. Brass light fixtures with low-watt bulbs straining against the gloom. A desk, unoccupied. The walls are stone, like the foundation of an old church. And on the wall beside you, in faded gilt paint, sub-archive. Staff use only. No wonder you never heard of this level. You aren't supposed to be here. But the thing is, you are here. And nothing's stopping you from walking forward. So you do. The lights flicker slightly overhead, casting strange patterns across the spines of the books. These aren't organized like upstairs. No fiction or non-fiction. No Dewey Decimals. Some don't have titles at all. Others have titles in languages you can't even begin to recognize. Jagged scripts that seem to twitch when you squint too hard. A section near the far wall is missing entirely, just an empty rectangle of floor lined with shelving. You walk toward it, thinking maybe the books were just moved. But no, this is different. Your foot crosses the boundary and your head buzzes like you walk through a static field. The air is thick here. The light bends oddly, softening all edges, deepening shadows in a way that makes your stomach turn. The shelves here don't stand still. They shift, imperceptibly, just enough to confuse. One moment, a shelf is 5 paces away. You blink, and it's beside you. You could swear the books are breathing. Not all of them, but enough to make you freeze. One has a pulse you can feel before you touch it. You back away. A soft sound echoes down the aisle, like someone dragging a hand across a shelf of spines. You whip around. No one's there, but the air's been disturbed. A book falls from a high shelf behind you. It lands spine up, flopping open like a gutted animal. You step closer, heart hammering. It's a journal, handwritten, and the name on the first page. It's yours. You stare at it, the ink glistening like it was written seconds ago. The date is today. The entry reads, you descend to the place they forgot. You read what you shouldn't. You begin to forget the stairs. You snap the book shut and realize you already forgot which way you came in. You spin around. Every aisle looks the same now. The signs are blank. The air has grown warmer, almost humid. You swear the books are watching, judging your confusion like an audience waiting for the moment you panic. You grip the journal tighter. It throbs faintly. Then, a soft voice, close, feminine, quivering. Help me. You freeze. It came from the left. Please, I can't get out. You inch forward, voice barely a whisper. Hello? There's movement. A flash of a shadow behind a shelf. You race toward it, turning down a narrow aisle. It's empty, but there's a torn piece of cloth caught on a jagged shelf corner. Faded denim, blood-stained. More pages of the journal fall from the shelf above. You didn't notice they were loose. You didn't touch anything, but they flutter down like feathers. You pick one up. She's been here a long time. She checked out something she couldn't return. The librarian said she was overdue. You don't want to read more. You do anyway. He made her part of the collection. You're shaking now. Not from fear. Not entirely. From knowing that it's too late to walk away from this. Another voice. The same girl, but farther now. Please, not again. You run toward the sound, passing through aisle after aisle. They seem to twist under your feet. Shelves too tall, shadows too long. And then finally, a door. Rusty iron. Marked with smudged black letters that once read restricted. One hinge is broken. The door hangs crooked. You push it open with your foot. Inside, the light is dim and red. It's a study room, you think. At least, it used to be. Tables line the far walls, but they're cracked and bowed under the weight of dozens of open books, all of them vibrating softly. One has spilled black ink onto the floor, and it's still dripping, still fresh. And in the farthest corner, a figure, kneeling, facing the wall. You step closer, breath caught. The girl's hair is matted. Her hands shake. One hand holds a torn page. The other is missing, torn at the wrist. She doesn't notice you at first. Then her head twitches. Not turns, twitches, like a puppet. Her voice is barely human now. He writes new endings, for all of us. She lifts the page. You don't want to take it. You do. It's a checkout slip. Her name, stamped, never returned. You look down at her again, but she's gone. The paper flutters from your hand. Behind you, something creaks. You turn around and meet the eyes of the librarian, or what's left of him. He doesn't blink. You realize this first, because your brain expects it, demands it. That a human face, no matter how pale or lean or stretched with time, will blink eventually. But this one doesn't. He stands just outside the red room, impossibly tall. His uniform is old-fashioned, cuffed sleeves, pressed slacks, a faded brass badge that simply reads, Archivist. His skin is the shade of candle wax left too long in a cold cellar. Tight, vein marbled. His lips are wrong, too still, too flat. His eyes are the worst of it. No whites, no pupils, just the color of storm clouds, unblinking and wet. "Returned late," he says, and his voice is like a page tearing in half underwater. You back into the room again, heart thudding, but the books behind you are louder. Every single one of them opens at once, pages fluttering wildly as if caught in a storm no one else can see. Your ears ring. You drop the torn checkout slip. It vanishes before it hits the floor. "She didn't make it out," the archivist says, almost conversationally. "But you've still got time. Perhaps." He steps forward. The air folds with him, like space itself doesn't want him to move. His presence crushes the room. He doesn't touch the walls, but they groan. You don't think. You bolt. Out through the crooked door. Back into the shifting shelves. You run blindly, brushing against books that hiss as you pass. Your shoulder collides with a shelf and something tumbles off. A book without a cover, pages stitched together with what looks like hair. You don't stop. The air changes again, thickening into syrup. It drags against your limbs. You push forward, desperate, lungs screaming, until you see stairs. A stairwell tucked between two rotating shelves. You don't remember passing it before. You rush toward it, gripping the rail, heart hammering with wild hope. But the moment your foot hits the second step, you hear it, knocking. 3 sharp raps, muffled, from inside the wall beside the stair. You freeze. Wait. The air trembles. Then it happens again, louder. Someone is knocking, trying to get out. You press your ear to the wall, against your better judgment. You swear you hear breathing, then whispering. Your own name spoken softly by a dozen mouths at once. You jerk back, keep going. Down the stairs, counting each step. 1, 2, 3, but they don't end. The stairs loop. You go down 10 more steps, then find yourself at the same door you just came from. The same torn checkout slip on the floor. The same breathless hush of books waiting to judge. No. No, no, no. You go again. This time faster. 1, 2, 3. This time 20 steps. Maybe 30. Same result. The same door. The same page. The library wants you here. It is folding in on itself. You could run in this loop forever, aging without noticing, turning to dust on these stairs while the archivist waits, patient as mold. You sit, trembling, trying to think. The knocking continues, slow, rhythmic, unrelenting. You whisper, "Who's there?" No answer, just 3 knocks. The stairwell lights dim until only the outline of the steps remain. You realize something. The knock is moving. Each time, slightly higher. Whoever, or whatever, is behind the wall is climbing with you. You're not alone. And the archivist, he hasn't followed. Why? You look at the torn checkout slip again, then back at the nearest shelf. It's not just any books on these shelves. They're people, or rather, what's left of them. Memories, names, fates. Some are still writing. You can hear them scribbling behind the leather bindings, scratching at their own endings, trying to rewrite themselves. You whisper, "What happens if I open one?" The shelf creaks. A book drops into your hands. It's warm. You open it. Your name. Again. But this time the words inside are different. You run. You fall. You're found. You're filed. You're forgotten. But the ink shifts. You watch the sentence rearrange itself, as if reconsidering your future. You fall. You run. You are found. You resist. You return. You stare. Return where? The book shudders, and from behind you, a voice speaks again. Not the girl, not the archivist. This voice is old, thick with dust and ache. You write your own ending, or he'll write it for you. You whirl around. An old woman stands at the foot of the stairwell. Her skin is paper thin. but her eyes burn with clarity. She clutches a library card. Yours. You're still in the catalogue, she says, stepping toward you. You need to get out before your name sets in ink. How? Burn it. Burn your entry. But hurry. The knocking returns, now from both walls. You help her up the stairs. The stairwell doesn't loop this time. It bends, cracks, reshapes itself like it's resisting, but it lets you through. Back into the unlisted floor. The old woman moves faster now, guiding you toward a room you hadn't seen before. Inside, rows of drawers, a card catalogue, every name filed in yellowing paper. This is where he keeps you, she says. You search. Finger trembling, you pull open the drawer with the letter of your last name. Your fingers brush dozens of old cards, each marked with thick ink and strange stamps. You find yours. It's warm to the touch, damp, as though freshly printed, stamped, checked in. She hands you a box of matches. No hesitation, she says. He's always listening, and he never forgets an overdue name. You strike the match, and the room screams. Not a person. The room screams. Shelves shudder. Lights pulse. You feel heat on your back as the catalogue erupts into flame. You drop your card in. It ignites immediately, curling black, burning your name to ash. The screen cuts off, and the floor beneath you cracks. The crack runs fast. Like lightning splitting marble, it races across the floor of the catalogue room, spiderwebbing outward in jagged black lines. The flame consumes more than your card. Each drawer begins to smoke, paper curling, letters disappearing. The old woman clutches your arm. We need to go, now. You try to move, but the air is changing, thickening. It's not smoke, not quite. It's darker than smoke. It tastes like ashes soaked in ink. You stagger through the doorway, half blind, the library groaning around you like a living thing in agony. Somewhere behind you, the shelves collapse one by one. The archivist is howling. Not screaming, howling. A low, mournful wail that resonates through the floor, through the walls, through your bones. It grows louder, rising like a storm siren. You don't turn around, you just run. The old woman leads you past rooms you swear didn't exist before. Rooms with blood-stained desks. Rooms with no floor at all. Rooms filled with mirrors that reflect things you haven't done yet. The layout is unraveling, the library rejecting its own structure. Light flickers unnaturally. Shadows slither along the ceiling like snakes in reverse. You reach a door. A plain wooden door marked returns. The woman nods toward it. This is your chance. Once. You turn the knob. On the other side is outside. Real air. Night wind. Street sounds. A distant car engine. You step halfway through, but something grabs your shoulder. You're yanked backward so violently your shoes drag across the tile. You scream, spin, and face him. The archivist. No longer composed, no longer slow. His jaw is unhinged, open too wide. Ink drips from his mouth. His limbs have stretched, bony and unnatural. Fingers ending in paper-cut thin claws. His eyes are storm clouds boiling into void. You are still written, he growls. You raise your hands, backing toward the threshold. My card's gone. There are backups. He lunges. The old woman intercepts him. She doesn't fight. She just wraps her arms around him, pulling him back with a strength you don't understand. Run, she says over her shoulder. He already has me, but you're still being edited. You stare 1 second too long. She meets your gaze and smiles. Then she vanishes into the smoke with him. You turn and bolt through the doorway. You don't stop running until your feet hit wet pavement. The rain has stopped. The library behind you is silent. Its windows are dark. The sandwich board sign is gone, as though it was never open at all. You stumble down the sidewalk, heart still racing, lungs aching, the wind cool on your face. For the first time all night, the air smells normal, like pine needles and car exhaust. Your hand is still clutching the journal. You look down. It's changed. Your name is gone. The pages are blank. But just before you throw it away, something catches your eye. A sentence writes itself slowly, right across the top line of the first page. You escaped for now. You drop it. You don't sleep well that night. The next day, you pass the library again. It looks closed, deserted, boarded up. But as you walk by, something tugs your attention to the mailbox mounted near the door. There's a note inside, a receipt, stamped, late fee applied, a number scrawled in red ink, 1 sol. You laugh it off, nervous. But later that night, when you're brushing your teeth and the bathroom mirror fogs up, you see it again. 3 words written in the steam. We keep track, and then the lights flicker. But don't worry, you made it back. Your room is quiet now, familiar, the soft hum of the fan brushing past your ears, the window slightly ajar to let in the night breeze. Maybe your lamp is still on, or maybe you're sitting in the dark now, listening. And that's okay. You survived. The books are closed. The stairwell has straightened. The archivist is far, far away, folded back into the pages where he belongs. He won't bother you tonight, probably. So breathe in slowly. Let it fill your chest, steady and calm. The worst is over. You're not trapped underground. You're not holding a library card that pulses like a second heartbeat. You're just here, safe, listening to the quiet. If the knocking comes again, it won't be tonight. And if you hear whispers beneath the floorboards, it's just the house settling. Maybe the pipes, maybe the wind through the ducts. It isn't her, it isn't him. And it definitely isn't your name being written over and over and over. Right? Just stay where you are. Let your eyes close. Let the story fade. And remember, some libraries shouldn't open after dark. But you already knew that, didn't you? Sweet dreams.